Hello traders and welcome to the weekly outlook and setups volume 159. It's Iliya here, and as always I'm really happy to welcome you on the Trading Fanatic channel. As you know, in this video we're going to have a look at the market, how it developed this week, what kind of opportunities we had, and most importantly what we can potentially expect for the upcoming week. This one was pretty nice, very volatile. We had some amazing and trending moves in the markets. Unfortunately, there were somewhere to go or something to do every single day of my week, so I only traded actually on Friday a little bit. I took a little win, a 3R on EU, which I'm very happy about, but I also missed a lot of great, amazing trading opportunities. I was spending a little bit of time around Frankfurt Open and the first 30 minutes of London Open, but I had a lot of misses right there, or just the setup didn't come to me, and then it actually came hour after this, right? So I missed a lot of great trading setups, but that is perfectly fine. We still have, how much do we have? A week and a half to finish August, then we enter into September. Q4 is almost around the corner, so let's make sure to finish the month strong. And of course, I can't wait to get back to my home station where I'm gonna start trading full time again. Right now, spending my last week with my family. So again, probably not going to be very engaged in the markets as well, but it is what it is. Make sure all of you to enjoy the summer, to visit some amazing places, make some memories, because at the end of the day, it's not only trading, all right? Of course, if you're new to this channel, it's all about trading. I share these weekly outlook and setups every Saturday, and once per week from September on, I'm going to be sharing an educational piece of content every single week. So make sure you're subscribed and turn on notification bell in order not to miss those videos when they come out. And if you already did, let's head into the video. Before we get started with a Dixie, I want to have a shout out to my amazing broker, Forex.com. They are great. They have all the assets, cryptocurrencies, stocks, Forex pairs, all of them with great spreads. And they also have two types of accounts, but make sure to pick their eco account. You are going to pay a little bit of commission, but every single lot that you accumulate will go towards planting 10 trees. They're documenting all of their process on their website, so make sure to visit them. Link is down in the description, and make sure to open your eco account, and let's help the environment. All right, so Dixie, let's have a look what is happening. If you remember from a couple of weeks back, I do believe we had this candle right there, which was the 1st of August. Then the 2nd week of August actually pushed deeper into this overall demand zone right there, which we also discussed in the previous week, right? We really nicely actually tapped inside to reject it with a nice pin bar. So what I was actually expecting is to have a little bit of a pullback to at least kind of retest 50% of that wick. But no, the market just opened and started to massively pump into the highs. And we have just a beautiful bullish engulfing candle after 3 consecutive weeks of kind of indecision and rejection coming from the downside, which is a great bullish signal that can potentially tell us we might attack the highs, right? We might start targeting around 109, which was already tapped, but 110 could be the next target. I'm not going to go and look on the left, right, because it doesn't make much sense to visit levels from 2002, right? So what I'm doing is just focusing on the most recent price action, okay? So what could happen right now, of course, is that we can come back to revisit some of, actually this whole candle is right now turning into a potential demand zone, right? You can apply the strategy of actually having a 50% retest of the engulfing candle, right? So there are potentially a couple of pullback areas that we can just spot from the weekly time frame, but then of course we want to drop to the daily, right? So what I was telling you is that the daily was in an overall correction, but what I also told you, look where the momentum is. Look at that beautiful push up. Look at the correction. Look at that beautiful push up, and then look at the correction, right? It was pretty corrective, pretty choppy, just accumulating, right? We came in, tapped inside the zone, rejected. We have that morning star formation right there. And since then, we started to pump very massively. Monday started really bearish. Then we had kind of Tuesday and Wednesday kind of indecisive a little bit, figuring out whether they want to go higher or lower. I do think we had some sort of news release on Wednesday or Thursday. We had the FOMC minutes. I don't remember when they were. I told you guys I'm really outside of the market right now. And yes, right now we are very nicely continuing to trade higher. So right now the market can encounter a little bit of resistance or a little bit of supply that is potentially going to cause the market to pull back a little bit, right? Because right now we're having a brand new range which hasn't formed yet. Why? Because we haven't started the pullback. Okay, so potentially, as we spotted from the weekly, this is right there a potential pullback area. It is also that structural level that was broken and hasn't been retested. When it comes to supply and demand zones, of course, there is the lowest one, right, which I don't think it's realistic to retest before the move higher, right? I do think the Dixie can pull back a little bit, maybe towards the 50%, towards that weekly retest area, and then to potentially continue pushing higher. Or of course, we can just have a little bit of a pullback and then just continue towards the high, break the high, right? And then usually what happens after high is broken, then the pullback initiates. Okay, so we once again, as usual, have a lot of scenarios to think about, right? And this is why it's important to every single day flow with the markets. Okay, going on to the 4H, well, what I can see is just pure bullishness right now. Yes, we are about to encounter into this level right there, but this is not strong, all right? So don't try to short from this zone. I drew this zone only because I tried to find the zone where the market can potentially stop, create the higher high, right? So then I can expect the higher low and then potentially continue with the overall trend, okay? So yes, pretty much this is where the market was reacting from, right? I do think there was that zone that I had drawn at that time, right? So that was the zone. We had a tap here first, second tap, third tap. The market pushed lower, then it came in, took the liquidity above this high, tried to push lower, failed, and then we actually flipped higher, okay? Which means that, look at that interaction. So the market was building a range right there before it actually initiated higher. So pretty much this whole zone right there is a demand zone, right? This is a very nice range that we can actually trade off of, okay? So pretty much, guys, my analysis will be simple. I will be looking for a potential higher low, but just at the current positioning of price, it is a little bit hard to actually draw a range or potentially try to forecast if the pullback has actually initiated. Because yes, if the market starts to push lower on market open, then yes, this will be the higher high. So we can of course draw our range like this and expect a potential pullback. But if the market continues with a new push higher to tap deeper into this supply zone and then initiate the move lower, then of course we have to move our range a little bit. And maybe there is going to be a new range right there that we can potentially trade off of. Okay, so a lot of things can happen, but of course what is important is that my bias is bullish on the Dixie. I am overall going long, right, targeting around 109.50 or just targeting this high, right? The question is, are we just gonna pump and break this high, or are we first gonna pull back a little bit and then potentially continue higher? So what I would love to see is something like this, okay? Is it gonna happen? Well, we never know. This is why we're gonna, of course, flow with the markets on Tuesday, all right? So that's the Dixie overall bullish bias. Let's see if EU supports it. Look at that beautiful formation on Euro USD. So we had a couple of reservations that the market could potentially make another move higher before reversing. But of course, we were accumulating for 1, 2, 3, 4 weeks, right? And this last week that threw this beautiful wick, this beautiful pin bar from a supply zone that we actually spotted, filling in that empty space right there, retesting the zone on the left, actually shifting the structure on the 4H. The confluences of potential move lower were a lot, right? And we actually had a beautiful engulfing candle right now to the downside. So just looking at this momentum, usually the market will rarely stop, pull back a little bit and then continue, right? The market is just going to give you a little wick higher and then just continue dropping lower, right? So I do expect the next week to be bearish, potentially being magnetized towards 99.50. Okay, we have, what did we have on a Dixie? 109, right? 109.50. Right there we have 0.9950. Okay, so pretty much the same levels that we're going to be looking for. Potential retest area on this one as well. The low right there, potentially as well, another strategy you can apply is 50% of the engulfing candle, which pretty much resembles this little line that we drew. So transferring this on the daily, the structure is right now pretty much bearish, right? Massively pushing to the downside. Of course, we have that same zone as we have with the Dixie, that little demand zone that can cause the market to react and pull back a little bit, right? Which is going to be nice because I see also this little daily zone right there, which is going to be a potential nice pullback area to short, right? So again, the biggest question right now is, are we going to have a pullback, right? Are we going to have pullback? Well, hopefully, again, we have a lot of zones right there that we can look into. We can potentially look to refine a little bit, like take a smaller zone. You can see that we're just stepping inside. So what I would really love to see on EU without complicating it too much is a pullback. Okay, so we have a little bullish candle right there that potentially can create a supply zone that we can trade off of, right? So if the market pulls back right there, creates a lower high, I'm going to be dropping to a lower time frame, looking to short. If this zone fails, right, then we can potentially look for shorts from here, which is going to be a much more hard time frame, right? But those are the potential scenarios that I'm looking for. I do not really expect a bullish week after all of the selling pressure. The market is potentially going to seek to take out external liquidity, which is resting just below right there, right? Because usually when the market starts to move, right, probably right here, right, the market started to move even from the top right there, it rarely gives you any pullback, right? Usually the pullback is going to look like this, a little bit like this, right? It's not like a big major pullback. We already had the major pullback, so right now it's all about getting into the continuations. Okay, so two shorting areas. This is the first one, which is, it's not low probability, but it's kind of in the middle, which of course is fine, right? So if we pull back towards this one, I'm going to be dropping to the 15-minute time frame or the hourly to look for market structure shift. And if this fails, then potentially I will be taking longs towards this zone where I'm potentially going to be looking to take it down. Of course, if the market continues with a leg lower right now, everything will change. If you first break the low, then everything changes. Then we can start looking for reversal patterns towards the upside, right? Or if the market starts with a bearish move, tapping deeper into the zone, then of course, if we have a little bit of shift of structure, we can once again look to long the market towards the most recent supply areas. Okay. So this week again is a little bit tricky because we closed with impulse, right? Usually we are going to close something like this, right? So then I tell you, okay, guys, we have a beautiful higher high. The higher low is already forming. So I would love to see maybe a little bit of tap lower before reversing higher. But when the market closes with a push, with a new lower low, then we have to wait for a new lower high to form, which we don't know where it's going to form. Okay, so that's pretty much it. That's my analysis. I had a lot of misses this week on EU, and the only trade I took was within right there. It was actually a counter trend trade. Let me see if I can actually spot where it was. It was during Frankfurt Open or London Open. Yeah, it was, I think it was around here. So I took a long somewhere right there. If I probably go to the 1 minute, I'm gonna remember where I took it. Yes, there it is. Yeah, I think I took this long right there, or was it somewhere right here? Well, I'm not prepared. I'm not gonna share this trade because it's not something that really you're gonna gain a lot of value. But I do think I took something like that right there. Stop loss was below, and it was precisely 3R that I took. So it was probably something like this, right? Which makes me pretty happy because I finished the week profitable just by simply sitting in for, it was like around just 30 minutes on the charts, just took that trade, let it go, TP 3R, I just closed it because again, hard time frame were bearish and I didn't want to ride it towards the supply zones. And then I had members of my community taking beautiful shorts for around 22R towards the lows right there, which I'm pretty proud of. Okay, so that's EU, nothing too much in detail. So guys, make sure to stay tuned for my Tuesday flow with the markets. All right, let's have a look at Euro Yen. So all the yen pairs are once again a little bit of tricky, right? So we have a very nice bullish USD JPY, right? Similar to the Dixie, the USD JPY is pushing higher, right? While of course the Euro, the Aussie, and the NZD are bearish, right? So usually this one causes a little bit of correlation issues, which is why we're gonna see them consolidating overall, right? But overall, I am still long bias on those pairs, right? They're tapping into a hard time frame demand on the weekly. They are overall bullish, right? So Euro Yen tapped very nicely inside the zone, rejected with this beautiful pin bar. The previous week was indecision. This week we're tapping deeper, and actually where did we went to retest almost 50% of that pin bar, right? And we actually closed bullish, which of course gives me signs of potential bullishness. But again, so right now Euro USD is massively bearish, right? Which immediately triggers this one to fall lower, but USD JPY is bullish, right? Which also pushes this one higher, right? So if Euro is bearish, but USD JPY is bullish, then this one is gonna consolidate, which is why I don't usually like JPY pairs, right? So actually going on to the daily right now, again, it's a little bit hard to read. Okay, so we're still bearish technically, right? This is our lower high that the market actually retested right here, then tried to push lower, failed to put up a new low, then pushes higher, but it still hasn't broken any lower high, right? So this one is a lower high. This one is not a lower high, right? Because it hasn't made a new lower low. So it's potentially weak, right? I do think this high right there can break, but then when I'm gonna actually say that this market is bullish, when we actually have a break above, okay? And then potentially we can look for something like this. So currently it is a little bit 50-50, but if I actually read behind the lines, I do think we have at least a full hourly shift of structure precisely right here. But it's also gives me those bearish vibes, right? So it's like push, pullback, lower high. The market tries to push lower, fails, comes back to grab more liquidity. Maybe it's gonna spike above this high and then again reverse. Okay, so JPYs, I am not very sure. Okay, so which is why I always appreciate your feedback as well, guys. So this one went inside this zone right here. Of course, in hindsight, it's pretty easy. I'm not sure if I actually code this one out. We have some flat lows right there. The market tapped in the middle of nowhere, reacted and came in very deeply, took all the liquidity, tapped inside the zone and then massively pumped into the highs, which also, as I told you, causes a full hourly shift of structure. Then we have this overall demand zone right there, right? The market taps inside, reacts, and again causes a wick break structure. Okay, so currently, according to me, the flow of this market is bullish. Okay, so if I have a retest of this new zone, so if we have something like this, then I will be interested in taking longs targeting this high. Okay, so as I explained to you on the daily, this high right there is insignificant because it did not cause anything lower. Okay, it didn't cause a break of structure lower. So it makes me think that the market will take it as liquidity, right? And then tap deeper into this zone, which is gonna be our decision point. Okay, so this is our decision point right there. If the market is gonna go bearish or if it breaks above, we're then gonna turn bullish. Okay, so just looking at all those confluences, I'm gonna say that I'm short-term long. I do think we can have another push higher, okay, towards breaking this high. And after we break this high, then we have to wait and see what's gonna happen, okay? Of course, the second scenario will be a potential break of the last higher low, which is this one, a retest, lower high, and then potentially we target the lows. Okay, so there is a bullish and there is a bearish scenario that I'm looking at, okay? Always consider both outcomes. Never think, oh, the market is gonna go long, because no, always think where is your short scenario. And this is gonna kind of give you a peace of mind because you know whatever happens, you can take both sides, right? This is the beauty of trading, right? Because you're not investing and only hoping for the upside. You can also trade the downside. Okay, so actually let's appreciate this. So that's your end. This is my current outlook. I do expect the break of this high. If we actually break this low though, I will then shift my bias to bearish. So let's see how the market opens and let's have an update on Tuesday. All right, let's have a look at the Aussies. Look at that formation on Aussie dollar. Very beautifully retesting this lower high right here. I do believe we almost came very close to actually tapping that weekly zone, right? And we had a beautiful kind of market manipulation formation. We have a range, we have a massive manipulation higher, and right now we are immediately triggering it lower, right? Which is also causing a weekly shift of structure, right? Which makes me think that potentially the next target could be this lower low. But of course, before we reach the lower low, right now we're gonna encounter a little bit of demand. But again, this demand is not something to take a big long from, okay? This demand is only to cause the market to pull back, then to potentially continue going lower. Okay, so that's very important. So again, weekly bearish, massive bearish engulfing candle. What we can do, of course, is apply the strategy of 50% pullback of the engulfing candle. So I'm just gonna drop a line and see if it resonates with something. Dropping onto the daily, yes, so there is a higher low, higher high. So we definitely do have a daily shift of structure here and a daily shift of structure here. So the market is turning bearish on the market is bearish on the weekly, and right now it's also turning bearish on the daily, and it's definitely bearish on the 4H. Okay, so the bias is bearish. Okay. So we're just again taking this low right there as liquidity, so we can potentially have a little pop. Okay, so again, to keep it simple, what I would love to see on AU is a pullback to get into shorts, because again, weekly short, daily shorts, and if the higher time frame are short, then what I would love to focus on is taking shorts. Okay, and similarly to what I told you on EU, when usually the market starts to trend with momentum, it doesn't give you massive pullbacks. Okay, so look at that right there. Is this even a pullback? Well, no, it's kind of just making little lower lows and lower highs. Then we have this push. Again, is this a clean pullback? Well, yes, it is, right? But for some of you that are looking for a retest of this zone, you get missed out. Okay, so right now we have a new push. So if I really zoom in, the most recent area of supply is right here. So if we have a pullback towards this zone, then definitely look for shorts. Okay, and if this one fails, right, similarly to EU, we can just look for the other one, because this one is then gonna become liquidity. Okay, can we have another scenario? Well, if we start bearish, then it's going to be very likely we can have 2 or 3 days of bullishness and then potentially close bearish as well. So that could be the weekly cycle. And yeah, we have a lot of scenarios, which is why I don't usually like to do weekend analysis for myself, because what I found out is that my analysis shifts every single day, right? Even every single session. So I don't really care about the weekly scenario, like how will the weekly candle look like. Of course, it's always good to know that Potentially right now on the weekly, I do expect the next weekly candle to be bearish, right? Which again, kind of gives this macro bias in my head, but I can take longs, and then I'm going to take one short and I'm going to have a profitable week longing the bearish market. Okay. So this is pretty much it, keeping it very simple. We have a little bit of kind of structure right there, but this looks pretty flat to me, so I wouldn't really trade from it. I'm going to utilize it as liquidity for the market to potentially tap inside the big zone, create a lower high, and then drop lower. And if the market starts bearish again, then you have to wait for me on Flow with the Markets Tuesday so we can see how the market looks like and see how we can adapt. Okay, so currently I am hoping for a bullish pullback, for a bullish open to make a lower high, and then to potentially continue going lower. So that's AU. We also have a new level. We will have a, I think it was daily zone. Yeah, it was just a daily base candle, right, that actually made a push lower. So 2 supply zones to short from. Let's see if any of them are gonna get tapped, right? And right now Aussie JPY is also gonna be tricky because of the correlation. So we have Aussie USD bearish and we have USD JPY bullish, right? So USD JPY is making this pair go higher, but Aussie USD is making this pair go lower again, which makes this one consolidation. Okay. And yeah, we're pretty much okay. We don't have an inside bar because the previous weekly low was taken. We have a bearish candle, which is nice. But then if we drop to the daily time frame, once again, I'm having difficulties analyzing the JPYs for a couple of weeks already. All right. So yeah, weekly time frame looks overall bullish, but yeah, is it really bullish? Then dropping on the daily time frame, we have this massive dump into the lows, right, which was caused by this supply. So this supply looks like it's being respected. We have just a little pullback right there. Then we have a push. So technically right now we have a shift of structure on the daily right there. And the market is currently retesting this supply, right? So it kind of gives me the short vibes, but I'm also know that on the weekly time frame, we came inside this weekly zone, right? We massively rejected it and we can potentially be targeting the highs right now. So I'm very 50-50 on this one, and just this confusion between the USD yen, right, and then Aussie dollar in this case is making it even harder, right? So currently the 4-hourly time frame is bearish. This is what I'm gonna say for sure. Why? Because this is a high, this is a low, right? That actually caused the break of structure. Then we have a little pullback, but then this push lower did not make a new lower low, right? Then we pull back, and so pretty much, guys, this is our major range, right? And then all of this is minor correction, right? So as long as we stay between this major range, we are bearish according to me. Okay, so we just came in to take this high as liquidity, right? Tapping deeper into the supply zone. So yes, we can be looking for shorts right now. I don't see them currently. If you wish, you can drop to the hourly time frame, and you can see right now we have a potential shift, so we can expect something like this. But once again, guys, I'm just gonna kind of keep it simple and not call anything. I would like to actually flow with the market, see how it opens on Monday, and then see how I can adapt to them. But overall, I'm gonna say that I'm bearish on Aussie JPY right now. I just need a little bit more signs because currently the flow looks a bit bullish, right? But if you start dropping to the 15-minute time frame, you can see that we're starting to shift. So this is a potential scenario that we can have, because we have like this 1, 2, 3 drives into the highs and then a reversal pattern. So this one is actually pretty powerful. We have taken all of these flat highs right there, right? So a lot of liquidity is taken. So right now it's time to target the downside liquidity, which is resting below these lows and these lows right there. So bearish on Aussie yen. Let's see how it opens and see if actually our bias is correct. Let's have a look at the NZDs, which are as well pretty much similar to the Aussies. We have that same weekly retest right here. In fact, this one actually tapped it perfectly. Same accumulation, range, massive bullishness manipulation. Then we have this very nice, massive bearish candle, right? Just full-bodied Morobozu candle. Is also that sort of pattern. We have that same strategy that we can apply, which is 50% pullback of the engulfing candle. On the daily, like, yeah, there is nothing too much to extract except the fact that we have right now shifted the daily structure to bearish, right? So what our task is right now is to jump on the short train, okay? And as I keep telling you guys, when the market starts to move massively like this, it's not gonna give you big pullbacks, okay? So any pullback towards the upside right now on the 4H is gonna be your short opportunity. Like, have a look. We have a push, one candle pullback, push. A little pullback right there, push. Little pullback right there, push, right? So yes, of course, we are gonna spot our most recent supply zone, which is this. We have one just above. right there. So this is potentially where I would like to short. We have right now that daily shift of structure, right? So what I'm going to be looking for is for the market to initiate the pullback, right? Tap inside here, lower high, and then potentially continue going lower. If we start once again the week bearish, then that's going to mean that we can potentially take a little long then towards a pullback zone and then potentially continue going lower. But I'm overall bearish on the NZD, as I'm very bearish also on the Aussie and also on the Euro, right? So any pullback towards the upside will be a shorting opportunity. Those are the two zones that make sense to me right now. Of course, you can start dropping zones like this, right? I do think that those are going to be utilized as liquidity though, because they're not strong. You also need to have a couple of rules behind your zones as well, because again, a lot of you guys were just setting limits on those zones and then get stopped out. Well, first of all, you might not have the right knowledge to identify those zones. And second of all, those zones also do require a lower time frame confirmation. Okay, so that's the NZD USD, keeping it very simple. We have a potential demand zone right there that we can respond to. I see a little one right there that we might potentially respond from. So I really hope we're gonna find demand for some of those zones to initiate the pullback. And then of course, any bullish candle on the 4H is gonna be a potential shorting area. Okay, so that's NZD USD. Probably NJ is gonna look, yeah, funny. Overall in this range, we have a bullish candle right now followed by a bearish candle. It's also an inside bar. So if we think, okay, what is the likelihood, which direction is likely to get broken? Well, I would say the downside, right? So immediately can target the downside. Yeah, daily time frame, once again, just building that narrative of the market failing to break the highs, supply, tap, 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 right? Just creating this series of, oh, come on, of lower highs, right? So I would say bearish, right? I would say bearish, then dropping onto the 4-hourly time frame. Man, this is tough. I told you, because we were analyzing this market like with price like this, is just hard to analyze. We have this run into the highs, we have the drop which breaks structure. So technically right now you have this as your major lower high. The market pulls you back, pushes lower, pulls back again, pushes lower. So I need to see a new break of structure right now in order to then say, okay, this is my current supply zone, which I'm gonna short from. Okay, we have one right here which has already been tagged. So I am once again bearish on NZD yen, as I'm bearish on Aussie yen. I don't remember about Euro yen. I'm overall bearish on the yens as well, but although USD JPY is bullish, so it's gonna be tough, all right? So what I actually advise you guys is to trade the USD pairs right now. So instead of trading NZD yen, trade NZD USD. Instead of trading Aussie yen, trade Aussie dollar, right? Because the USD pairs are going with momentum while the JPYs are right now struggling, okay? So this is my outlook on the NZDs. I'm very bearish on NZD USD, looking for any sort of pullback in order to get into shorts. And I'm also bearish on NZD yen, although it's kind of chopping around right now. Also, any pullback above will be a potential shorting opportunity. Looking at USD yen, we can again see a similar performance to the Dixie, right? 2 weeks of rejections to the downside, retesting this overall range right there. And right now we have this beautiful bullish engulfing candle suggesting a potential continuation higher. And this is the pair that is going to cause a lot of confusion on the JPY pairs, right? Because when this is bullish, all the JPY pairs want to go long, but also all the JPY pairs have, for example, Euro or Aussie or NZD within them, which are bearish, right? So make sure to watch my correlation video if you don't get what I'm saying. Pretty much it doesn't make much sense for the NZD for the JPY pairs right now. But of course, USD yen is bullish, right? We can see that the daily tapped inside, we pull back, tried to put up a new lower high, tried to push lower, failed, and right now we're shifting the structure higher. So there is a little chance that we can take a little short. As I told you, the JPY pairs look bearish, and if this one gives us a short right now, then we can have a short-term short, right? Like on Euro yen, Aussie yen, and NZD yen, right? But overall, this one looks pretty bullish to me right now. Of course, if I also look at it technically, we are still trading in a bearish range, right? Why? Because let's look carefully. This is the main daily leg. Why? Well, this is the last pullback that actually caused some sort of a break of structure. And look what is happening later is we have a pullback, right? But then this pullback, does it cause something? Does it cause a break of this low? No, right? So this becomes immediately weak. It becomes liquidity. We have taken it right now and we're tapping into the major zone, right? So there is a potential for a short as well, Although I just don't love how it's coming in very strongly. I think it's gonna break, maybe it's gonna break and come and retest the higher zone like this, which again is gonna be a potential pullback opportunity. And then we can see if the higher time frames are gonna prevail and push the market even higher. Okay, so as I told you in the previous pair, closing the market with a push is usually a little bit hard because you don't have a higher low or a lower high to trade from. So what I'm gonna tell you, of course, is wait for the higher low. There is the most recent range. There is the most recent 4-hourly higher low formation, right? So this is gonna be a potential marker of where the market can potentially pull back to, right? So if the market starts to right now make a new higher high and start pulling back, drop our range, wait for 50%, and as soon as we tap 50%, then we can look for the longs, okay? So I would expect some sort of shorts either from this zone or from the zone above, right? But those shorts are potentially going to be short-term counter trend shorts, okay? So this is my current outlook on USDN. I am overall bullish right now just because the 4-hourly is bullish to me, okay? I would expect though a little bit of a pullback, and as soon as we pull back below 50%, and if we start tapping inside the demand zones, then I'm going to be looking for longs, okay? And again, guys, don't exclude that daily possibility of the market tapping inside some of those zones and actually reversing. We never know what's going to happen in the economy, right? And usually technicals, I really love technicals because if you have the technicals aligning, something is going to pop up in the economy, right? They're going to make something up in order to cause the market to actually react from that zone, okay? So let's follow price. Currently, it's bullish on the 4-hourly, which is all that matters to me. I keep longing, but of course, first we need a pullback. So let's see how it's going to play out. The next pairs on the list are the GBPs, and of course, starting with GU, we have a massive bearish engulfing candle after pulling back at a pretty nice area of supply that we actually discussed last week, right? We had a nice inside bar, and then I told you, well, what is likely to break? Well, probably the downside. So we just opened and we just crushed very nicely lower. Okay. So of course, right now the market is potentially first gonna come in and tap 1750 before starting to retrace, right? Then of course we're gonna have a brand new weekly supply right there. So I'm very curious to see how it's gonna play out, right? Because on the majority of the pairs, we're expecting a pullback. And similarly to like EU, AU, they are all tapping like a little level on the left. But is this level gonna cause any pullback? Well, we're gonna see. Okay, daily is just massively bearish. Look at that, 3 massive bearish days, even starting from Monday bearish, Tuesday little pullback, Wednesday creating this nice and sharp pullback, and then we had them just a massive drop. So yeah, as I told you guys on all pairs, when you have a push weekly close, it's very hard to actually say what's gonna happen because the market just closed, extended, right? So I just don't know what's gonna happen, right? Usually when we have a push and a pullback and the market is sitting at a lower high, again, I tell you, well, this is a potential lower high. So if we have like that lower time frame shift, we can look for shorts, okay? But right now, yes, of course, I am short biased, but I need the pullback, okay? And we see that this is the daily pullback zone, or the weekly, I should say. The 4-hourly is this, like the last clean zone that I see is this, right? So right now the market is sitting almost towards the new lower low. So anything can happen, right? Which makes it very hard for me to forecast. We can, of course, first of all, initiate a pullback. And then if this happens, great, right? I don't think it's gonna happen though. Maybe we're gonna have just a little bit of a pullback and then flush lower. And then of course the third scenario will be to take out the low, and then after this we have to just see what's gonna happen, because usually after this you're gonna have a bigger correction and then a nice short. Okay, so GU guys, nothing much to say, as it's like with all the USD pairs, they are all on a big impulse. So any pullback towards the upside is a nice shorting opportunity as long as we do not break the low. If we break the low, then external liquidity is collected, and then potentially the market can initiate the bigger pullback. Okay, so if we have any pullbacks before we break the low, then make sure to strike on a short. And yeah, what I can say about GJ, it's definitely ranging. Why? Because of the bearishness of GU and the bullishness of USDN, right? In order for this one to go down right now, USDN has to also be bearish, right? So both of those can align. And we can see, like, I don't know, a lot of you guys are trading GJ. I just don't know how you trade in all of that madness, right? There's nothing much to extract from the weekly. Daily, yeah, well, pretty much as we keep saying, the weekly is overall bullish, right? We're tapping inside this zone right there. Then the daily is looking bearish, creating lower highs. wicking into the demand zone. We have this zone right there that hasn't been retested yet. We have that little pullback. So again, technically right now, this is our daily range, right? And then this is complex correction right now. So there is a high chance it's building up a range to tap inside like this, which is a classic accumulation, manipulation, and distribution pattern, right? But yeah, is it gonna happen? Well, we don't know, right? Because technically this high hasn't done anything yet, right? So if the market actually gives you a bullish sign, you can immediately target this high, right? But if I then go to the quality time frame, oh my, this one is just tough, right? Every time frame is telling me something different, and it's choppy and it's just hard. Yeah, if I look at the most recent price action, well, this was my lower high. It was broken, so technically right now we're bullish, and this is my demand zone, right? So technically, if I'm looking at this market just from a zoomed in perspective, this is how I'm looking at it, right? Push, pull back, just tap below 50%. And what I'm going to be looking for right now is to potentially see the hourly or the 15 minutes turn bullish so I can start taking longs. But there is no zone on the left that I base my trade on. So either I wait for a new one to form by having an impulse, then correction, then I trade from here, or I just wait for the market to pull back deeper. Okay. So USD, GBP yen is as tricky as all the JPY pairs. So I'm giving it more time. And as I told you guys, focus on the USD. So you're going to have a much higher chance of success and you're not going to get stuck in a consolidation. Euro GBP pushing higher, which means that the euro is stronger than the pound, which does seem the case, but it is also about to tap into this very strong zone of supply after just taking this high as liquidity. So I'm very curious to see whether this one is going to start shifting lower. Of course, currently the quality structure is bullish. So in order for you to say that this market is turning bearish, you have to wait for a quality structure shift. And currently we can argue whether this is the major higher low or this one. This one looks much better, of course, because we have clean pullback candles. So yes, we either wait for a new higher high, then a break and something like this, or we have to wait for a full shift that looks like this, and then potentially we take the short, right? But I don't look at Euro GBP because this is a pair I always get wrong. I just use it to see whether the euro or the British pound is stronger. Currently, it's the euro, right? And we can see that the push to the downside on the euro was not as big as it was on GU, right? So technically, GU right now is more bearish than EU. So if you want to go short on either of those pairs, then go short on GU. Okay, so that's the GBPs. Overall bearish. Well, yeah, GJ, it's not very bearish. It kind of gives me also bullish vibes. But yes, let's see what's going to happen. Again, impulses in the market, so we have to wait. After the Dixie turned massively bullish, we can immediately see the reaction in gold, which is just a beautiful bearish engulfing candle, right? I think a lot of you called that 1800 level. I did as well, so I'm definitely getting better in gold. So yes, currently the target is these lows right there. So we had a beautiful weekly push. We had a beautiful weekly correction. As I always tell you, wait for the 50% tap. Then a line that is something that is above the 50%, which in this case was this little zone right there, which we're going to see on the daily, right? Tapped inside, massive weekly reversal. If the Dixie continues higher, then of course gold is going to follow up because they pretty much work together. We do have a daily shift of structure, right? And we also do have a daily lower high formation, right? But of course, when the market goes with momentum, it rarely kind of gives you massive pullbacks. Okay, so what we have right now on the 40 time frame is just lower highs, lower highs, lower highs, right? So there is one, and yeah, this one looks a little bit flat. So I'm not really sure if I'm gonna trade from any of those zones, but this would be a setup that I would love to take. Okay. So guys, I'm bearish on gold, right? What I can say, I'm bearish on gold. Hopefully some of you gold masters are writing this already down, right? So we had a beautiful shift right here on the 4H. So we very nicely wicked above. So there is your manipulation, actually retesting the highest level right there that there is. Then we shifted the structure right there on the 4H, and then there is your retest of the wick, right? And what I always tell you about wicks, they tend to get retested around 50%. So there it is. And then we go short. Okay, so right now any pullback above is going to be a great shorting opportunity, right? It's just a little bit hard to pick the right zone. This is why, guys, you wait for lower time frame confirmations. Okay, so this is how I look at gold right now. Again, I'm bearish. I have two zones to potentially short. So let's see how it's going to open, and let's hope we can catch some shorts. Has the time come for the indices to fall sharply from the sky, where we're gonna see in the upcoming weeks and even months? All right, a very deep retest around 34,000, right? Very clearly taking liquidity as we indicated in last week, and we have a very nice rejection candle. But according to me, it is a little bit early to say that we are reversing. Okay, I would like to see a little bit more signs, especially on the daily, because what we can see right now on the daily is that we have this massive push which creates the current daily range. And although we're right now collecting liquidity and reacting, this is not yet a reversal. Okay, we can have a pullback towards the zone to take another long. What I would appreciate if we have that bearish scenario is the daily to make a new higher high, to tap deeper into the zone, and then to wait for that daily higher low to break, and then to potentially have something like this. Okay, this is my reversal pattern. So I'm not trading those yet. I'm mainly investing and position trading them, right? So I am currently long on all of those. My portfolio is looking beautiful because I was buying a lot from the bottom right there. So it's currently reaching all-time highs constantly. But right now I'm also starting to expect that drop. So I'm currently thinking whether to sell, right? But currently I'm accumulating holdings, right? For the long term, for when I retire myself, right? So I'm not really kind of swing trading them, right? So I'm currently looking for a deeper pullback to keep buying. Okay, but of course I'm expecting that macro sell-off right now, which can potentially reach us back into 30k. Okay, but of course, as I said, we need more signs. So right now I'm not gonna advise you to go to the 4H and start looking at the shifts of structure and then taking shorts. Why? Well, because still the weekly has bullish momentum in it, and also the daily is pretty bullish. Okay, so wait for a hard time frame to shift bearish before you start taking the shorts. Okay, so this is just my view right now. I'm not looking at any trading setups at this moment on, because I'm just trading those on the daily and the weekly, right? Huawei is a little bit too noisy for me on the indices. Of course, if you're intraday trading them, it works amazing. But yes, I'm just focusing for now on the daily and the weekly. Okay, so I'm gonna be looking for something like this to potentially have a look for some longs. Or if the market continues to break hard, then I'm going to reevaluate and see how it responds from that zone right there. Nasdaq is what is that, FIP right here, is also pretty bullish, right? But we have the first bearish week after 4 consecutive bullishness, right? We even have a news already news articles coming out. Nasdaq, S&P broke their 4 weeks of bullishness, right? So of course, it's a question whether we're right now pulling back above the 50% and ready for a reversal. Again, what I would like to see is a daily reversal. And currently my daily higher low is this. Okay, so as long as we remain above this daily higher low, I am still bullish. Okay, and of course, if we have a break below, a retest, hold for a new lower high, that is when I'm going to look for the shorts. Okay. Similarly, we also collected some liquidity. We haven't really tapped into significant area on the left. So again, there is a chance we can run again into the highs and then reverse. Okay. And of course, is the market really bearish? A lot of people say we're going to have another drop. Well, yeah, I'm not really that deep into macroeconomics, but again, inflation is high. So a lot of factors right now into the economy that are potentially going to also influence the stock market. So I'm very curious. And as I keep saying in every video, I am still learning, right? I'm gaining a lot of insights from it, but I'm not really very confident to say what's going to happen. Okay, so I'm just focusing on the technicals for now. Bullish on Nasdaq, bullish on US 30, and of course S&P as well has a little bit more room towards 44. Where we can start taking the shorts. Okay, yes, we are currently collecting liquidity, right? And starting to pull back, and yes, fall time frame is starting to shift lower, but that does not mean we're gonna reverse and just fall from the roof. Okay, so that is currently my range. This is where we're trading into. If we come in towards the zone, then I'm gonna be looking for confirmation for potential long. And yes, if we actually break and close below these kind of ranges, right, this little low, this little right there, that is when I can say that the market is turning bearish. But ultimately and perfectly, I would love to see a spike into the highs and then the reversal to occur. Okay. Crypto having a nice downfall right now. So after perfectly tapping 50%, as I keep telling you, right now the market is forming a beautiful bearish engulfing candle, violating all the demand zones, right? So is the market heading lower towards like a 17k and even below? Well, I don't know, right? But it looks like right now that the daily has definitely shifted the structure lower. Yeah, we have, I'm kind of trying to figure out how to draw the supply. So I'm going to take a big supply level like this and then drop to the voyage. Well, yeah, but pretty much from 23 all the way till 25 is a potential shorting area. So if we're coming towards these zones right there, I'll look for a new hourly time frame structure to form to take a short. Okay. So all of my crypto holdings are lost right now in the Celsius case. I'm not sure, maybe if you're in the crypto industry, you know Celsius, and there was another firm. What was its name? Vanguard? No, I forgot about it. But yeah, they're going bankrupt, so I don't know what to do, but I've just pretty much accepted it as a big loss, right? Ethereum is also, it hasn't pulled back towards the 50%, but it's forming that beautiful bearish weekly candle. So does the sentiment change right now? Well, probably, because we have a very nice, or it's maybe just coming back down to grab some more liquidity before the next bull run. I am not into crypto. What happened right now with me has made me hate it even more. So I'm really not sure whether I'm going to invest anymore in this kind of unsafe and speculative asset, right? I'm much more big on indices and then stocks and ETFs, right? But of course, crypto is looking right now bearish. So if you're looking for my sentiment, then of course it's bearish, and any pullback above will be a potential nice shorting opportunity, right? So I'm gonna wrap it up right here, right? It has been an interesting week. All the assets are kind of closing with pushes, which makes it a little bit hard to trade, right? So stay tuned, just wait for the market to develop, wait for those pullbacks, don't rush, right? And yeah, I wish you an amazing week ahead of you, right? I'm not gonna be very active this week probably as well. We'll be looking to take some trades here and there, maybe some swing trades as well. But yes, if you have any questions, you know where to find me. Make sure to hit the like button, comment any thoughts you had, any projections you have on different favorite instruments you have. And I can't wait to see you on Flow with the Markets on Tuesday.